You're listening to the Novice Experience, a podcast that explores the opportunities and challenges commonly encountered by students and young people. I'm Calvin Chan, and chatting with my guests, I'm going to take a deep dive into their meaningful stories, the lessons they've learned, and how they can inspire others. Let's get going. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Novice Experience. Today we're going to talk about business and entrepreneurship, including starting your own business as a young adult. And my guest today is Nigel Lai. He was a friend of mine since high school, and he's a business owner. He started his own beverage company called ThirsTea, and I'm really happy to have him here today. Hi, Nigel.
Hi, Calvin. Thanks for having me.
How have you been?
Great. Everything is great for now, I guess.
And we'll get into your work in a bit. Before we start, I'd like to ask my guests for an origin story. So, sort of where you're from, what are some of the big or defining moments or events in your life that make who you are today?
Okay, thank you. So as Calvin mentioned before, I'm the founder and director of ThirsTea Beverages. In the meantime, I'm also the director of membership services from the Hong Kong Canada Business Association. And then I started my business since 2019 in February, and this experience actually taught me a lot of things, and I have a lot of exciting things I'd like to share with all of you.
Before we start, I like to do something called a Give Me Five. So it's a rapid fire question that I will ask the guests, and you can do one word answer, or you can do a really long answer. There's no rule. And the first question: who do you admire the most?
Oh, the one who I admire the most is Sir Ka-Sheng Lee, and he is a Hong Kong businessman that a lot of people know him.
And what's your favorite beverage?
Oh, my favorite beverage. I would say my favorite beverage would be the Hong Kong style milk tea for
I
me.
love that. I love
Yeah.
that too. I know you like to travel a lot and you like airplanes. We met in aviation class actually. Nigel, do you prefer the window or the aisle seat?
I do prefer the aisle seat.
I actually prefer the window seat, although I'm although I'm quite tall, so it's not the best to go in and out. um,
Uh-huh.
if you could have an unlimited amount of something, what would it be?
Um, Unlimited amount of something. Chances, I would say.
Hmm,
Yeah.
interesting. Interesting. See, I was expecting something that's tangible, like a limited, like a particular type of food or money, but the fact that you said chances is really interesting.
Yeah.
Last one. Describe yourself in 3 words.
Oh my gosh, this is the really interesting question. Outgoing, um, hardworking, and independent.
Hmm. You know what? I'd actually agree with all of those words.
Thank you.
Like especially outgoing. Like you're a really great friend, and I really enjoyed all our experiences together.
You are a really good friend too.
Thanks. Well, to start our interview, would you mind telling our listeners what is Thirsty? Would you mind getting into your business a little bit more?
Oh yeah, sure. So ThirsTea Beverages is a new uh, Vancouver-based Asian beverage manufacturer, and then we mainly, so far in this stage, we are mainly manufacturing different types of Asian beverage, from Taiwanese beverage to Hong Kong beverage, and then and that is the start. Like, we initiate the business by manufacturing Asian beverage, and our plan is to be a Canadian. beverage manufacturer that not only manufacture Asian beverage, maybe we will have some vegan beverage and something like this in the future.
And that's very interesting. But I understand that you're not running like a restaurant or uh, uh, um, like a beverage store. This is in retail. Like you're actually putting your drinks on the shelves of many different supermarkets.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you're right.
And what are some of your responsibilities as the business owner and someone who started this business yourself?
Oh, so basically, my responsibility is everything from manufacturing, from research and development, from like accounting, marketing, blah blah blah. I need to be responsible for everything since I was the only one who run the business before.
Right. And like you mentioned uh, drinks that they're more Asian drinks, and I understand that you get your supplies from, outside of Canada, and then you make the drinks yourself. Would you mind going more in detail of that process? Like, if you're going into retail and supermarket, uh, does it take a lot of time to stock up? I hear that there's like boxes and boxes of beverages that you have to do, right? So I know that you started by yourself, and have you been able to grow your team to help you, fill the bottles?
Yeah, so basically, because we manufacture mainly Asian beverage, and then we source our ingredient around the world from Hong Kong or China to Sri Lanka for the best tea leaf, and we also source some of the ingredient outside of BC and some of the ingredient in Taiwan, and we do import everything by ourselves. And then for in terms of the supermarket parts, I used to go to every every different market and then give them samples and kind of introduce my brand to them. Uh, but right now, as you have mentioned, we have a team to do the manufacturing part and also for the distribution part as well for now.
When you first started until now, how did you market your product and engage your customers?
At the beginning, we heavily relies on, okay, even nowadays, we do relies on social medias from like Instagram, or at the beginning, we relies on WeChat, to nowadays, we use a Chinese application called 小红书. And then, and then we basically relies on our social media audience to share.
Would you say that it's really hard to start your own business and market your product now without knowing, social media, having the digital marketing skills?
I would say it's not as hard as what I thought, but it is always not an easy task to start since I don't have like a lot of knowledge. Like I'm not studying in the area of digital marketing, and I used to don't use a lot of social media as well.
hmm And like you mentioned, there's lots of things that you need to learn by yourself, right? As a really young business owner, and there's no way that we had enough time to study all of these business skills on our own. So, personally, to you, uh, what do you attribute your success to?
I would say like talk to more people if that's because that's basically my way to learn skills and look for solution when problems occur. Like I will watch a lot of documentaries about how people run the business, how they start a business. I will actually ask a lot of questions to my family, like my uncles, my parents who run their business, and like they give me a lot of advices, I would say.
Right. I think
Mhm.
meeting people and building your connections are so important in every aspect, not just in business. My next question was going to be like, what got you so passionate about business? Like, what made you fall in love with it and motivated you to start your own business? But it seems like I hear that you have influence from your relatives and your family.
Yeah, so basically, my as I've mentioned, my family and my relatives, because I grew up in a background that both of my father and mother side family, they are all doing business, and then they always sharing a lot of, like, especially my grandparents from both side, they always share a lot of interesting stories about their business, I would say. And then so but I think my mom especially, she really support me, and my uncle, they are all really like they are really support me for to start my business, to give me a lot of advices, to motivate me, especially when problems occur. So I think, yeah, my family and my
Hmm.
relatives.
That's really good. I'm really happy to hear that you have a supporting family, and obviously they can guide you in what you do. But you also mentioned that you depend a lot on your connections and your network and meeting people to help you solve some of the challenges in your business.
Hmm.
How do you go about meeting people? Is it mostly through social media? Do you go to any meetings in the community? How do you like to meet people?
So personally, I like to, like, before the pandemic, of course, is I like to meet people in person. And the reason why I joined the Hong Kong Canada Business Association is I love meeting people. And this platform gave me opportunity to meet with people with Hong Kong business background in Canada, and also Canadian business background in Hong Kong. And then I remember that in 2018, in July, sorry, in November, I had an opportunity to join one of the annual meeting in Hong Kong and then perform over there. And I met a lot of people that who actually changed my life in Hong Kong. And at the same time, they also helped me a lot to building my personal profile, and also most importantly, helped me for my business.
What do you say to young people, especially those who are in high school? Because I mean, there's no really business or entrepreneurship curriculum that's good enough so that people can start their businesses on their own. Like there's always a learning curve and having to meet a lot more people than one might expect. So how can those young people get more exposure to business and entrepreneurship?
I would say, starting to volunteer at different business association do helps, because they do have a lot of amazing people there that you can meet, and you can actually join business events in real life and to gain some real life experience. At the same time, do what you like and know what you like. I would say this is a really important part, because personally, I do like food and beverages, and I had at around 6 years of experience in the industry before I started ThirsTea. So I would say focus on what you like and do what you like.
I
Hmm.
totally agree. I think having passion and interests and loving what you do can be such an underrated motor to help someone, go past challenges and setbacks. I think some people who are forced into doing something or they don't truly love something, they give up much easier than someone who's super passionate about one of their goals or dreams, especially in the business world when there's so many different factors that could really kill your business. So I definitely agree with you.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, Nigel, what have been some of the biggest challenges in your business that you might not have foreseen when you started it?
I would say working with the third party companies, it's the most difficult part of running a business because it involves a lot of communication and a lot of techniques that require when you're like talking to others and making decisions. Because we used to work with a third party company and they mainly do distribution for our product, but it is getting a lot harder and a lot more complicated than what I thought originally because they have a lot of hidden rules in industry that you really need to know before you make a decision. And if you accidentally, let's say something that you should not say, or connect with people that you should not connect, then you will basically facing a really big struggles. And for me, I need to solve for a big issue because of my ignorance, I guess, to some of the rules in industry. But this experience to help me to understand the industry a little bit more, and they actually taught me, or I actually learned how to be a better partner when I do when I'm cooperating with other business in the future.
That's really interesting. And Nigel, when someone who like maybe messes up a relationship, or they say something that was maybe offensive or not very to the rule, how do you alleviate that relationship?
I would say it's always like when it comes to relationship issue, I think there would be no one is right or wrong in a relationship issue, even in the business world, I would say, but it depends on how I see it personally. Like no matter like people believe that, oh, this is we no longer can cooperate and we no longer be partner or whatever like that. um, but I think as long as like myself have a really strong behavior on to solve the issue, for example, like I want to solve the issue instead of finding who is the one who initiate or brings up the issue. So I like for me personally, I will, instead of looking for who did it, I will be the one who solved it.
Right. So essentially, you're instituting a no blame relationship. Instead of saying who's right, who's wrong, who should be responsible for it, you're the one who's being, proactive and taking initiative to resolve an issue or build up that relationship again. So that it shows your passion and it shows your dedication to working with someone, and hopefully that will help you in the long run.
Yeah, but this, like sometimes people do have a really strong anger to some of the small details in life, and they sometimes do not will not never they will never be accept any any
Like
apologies, I
they
would
won't give
say.
you a second chance.
Yeah, that's why I would say what like for the previous question you asked, what do I want to have if it has an unlimited like amount or something like that, then
Right.
I would say chances, because
That's yeah.
yeah, because chances is not something that you really could control.
That is a really great answer. When I I was writing up the when I was writing up the questions, again I was expecting something that would be tangible, but now that you put it in perspective, as a young entrepreneur, there's a lot of challenges and setbacks and failures that we might face, and the fact that you understand in those situations that chances aren't unlimited, it's given, it's earned, and your reputation is at stake, and the fact that you should understand it, and maybe not a lot of people do, it's really impressive to me.
Thank you. Yeah, because personally, based on experiences, I would say chances is really, really important. And once people have chances, they really need to treasure it. They need to perform the best. But even sometimes we perform the best, you like sometimes you do make mistakes. That's okay. Then make sure don't make any mistakes for the next chance when it comes out.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So that was relationships, but in terms of like logistics and operations, what was like one moment where you like, ah, yeah, I screwed up, pretty bad. Like it was hard to salvage, but like obviously you learned something from it.
Yeah, so basically in terms of logistic, we used to heavily rely on overseas suppliers. And then, so sometimes like as a I would say as a new startup in the business in the industry, it was our first experience of importing things overseas, and sometimes we do miss a lot of details information. Let's say because we do import the packaging from China, and then or actually Hong Kong, and then but sometimes holidays in China and holidays in Hong Kong do affect the shipment. And last time, I think last year in 2019, the Vancouver container terminal also have a strike. So it leads our company have facing a big issue since we are running out of packaging material, and our refrigeration section in the supermarket was empty for a month because of that issue. So, and then after that, we found out that okay, we cannot heavily relies on overseas suppliers, or even though we relies on overseas suppliers, we do need to have certain amounts of inventories of packaging material or raw material in stock just in case something urgent happen.
Right. I was gonna say it was also really impressive to me that you're just a startup, obviously a beverage company, but it's you also have to work with international logistics and work hours and holidays, and that's a really interesting note that you gave.
Yeah,
Uh,
so basically, in the morning, I need to like work on the paperwork. Afternoon, at night, I work on the manufacturing side. And at night, midnight, I need to contact with suppliers in Asia and other places in the world. So basically, 24/7 standby.
right, and obviously you did a lot of that logistics by yourself when you started, and now you mentioned that you've increase the number of people in your team. So Nigel, when now you're not no longer just a sole owner, you're a leader. What do you look for when you're hiring employees?
When I hire employees, I usually, like for example, in our assembly line, I don't really see people resume, but instead I do really focus onto their attitude, and their attitude is from my attitude to them. So I would say there are no people that is not good. I would say everyone is good, everyone is smart, everyone is hardworking, but it depends on how I, as a leader, treated them. Do I motivate them? Do I give them good guidance? Do I have an efficient system for them to follow? Is my SOP clear enough for them to follow and something like this? So I would say guidance and instruction, and like giving clear instruction, and let your employees or my team knows about what I want and my vision and mission. I think that's a really important part when it comes to building a team.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think one of the biggest differences between a leader and a manager is that a leader really cares about and I guess sees situations from the perspective of their employees. They understand, the workflow and what goes on in a shift for an employee, and they try to make it as smooth as possible so that it's easy for the employee to catch on. So they're not just being told what to do, but they're empowered to do a good job because you were being really clear, and they know exactly why they're doing something. Right, the work is purposeful and they're motivated to reach a goal as a team. So I totally agree with you.
Yeah, I think that's a really important part too.
Uh, we're reaching the tail end of the episode. There's a million more questions that I want to ask you, Nigel. This is such a cool business, cool thing, part of your life. Uh, I just want to end off, and you gave some great advice, but I wanted to end off with to people who might be younger than you listening to this episode right now. What's one advice? So one of the most important advice you'd give to them who's just starting out their own business, or who's unsure, right? They're on the fence about starting their own business, but they're really intrigued by entrepreneurship.
uh, I would say hardworking and believe in yourself. That's it. Because it is really important to believe yourself that you have the ability to sell, or to build your team, or to promote your product. But obviously it involves a lot of research and development, but you really need to believe in yourself, because if you don't believe in yourself, no one will believe you.
Great. Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I've seen you start ThirsTea. Has it been over a year now?
Almost 2 years.
Yeah, almost 2 years. I've
Hmm.
seen you start ThirsTea like almost 2 years ago, and it really shows that you're really passionate in what you're doing. You love food and beverage, and you love the grind of doing business, working 24/7, and just pushing through all the challenges and the new experiences that you're going through in society. So yeah, that I really respect you for. Nigel, would you end off by telling us what kind of products are you selling right now? Are there any new and exciting beverages that we can look forward to?
Yeah, so basically, we mainly sell our Hong Kong style beverage series in supermarkets right now, and also we do have a online platforms right now selling it as well. So we do have some exciting plans coming up. We are planning to since our product right now are dairy based, we are planning to develop a plant based product on to for people in the Vancouver market, since we do have a lot of vegan people or vegetarian people that prefer uh, dairy alternative or meat alternative. So that is an excited product that we're looking for, and hopefully we can launch it next year.
I'm so excited to see how it'll be. I like how you're catering to the people here in local Vancouver. How can we find ThirsTea on social media?
So our Instagram account is thirsty, THIRSTEA .ZHH, and that is the Instagram account for our product. And if you have any questions for our product, like where can you buy it, or even just the details information of a product or a company, feel free to direct message us, and we do have customer service representative to answer your questions.
Great. Nigel, thank you so much for joining us today in this episode to share your experiences as a business owner and as someone who's been through the startup process. It's such a cool story, and I wish you nothing but the best.
Thanks for having me, Calvin. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everyone, for tuning to this week's episode of the Novice Experience. I'll talk to you next time. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Novice Experience. Our theme song is Concrete Jungle by Audio Binger. You can find us or reach out on social media at The Novice Exp. That's The Novice EXP. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review on all your podcast listening platforms. Talk to you next time.